now enjoy his presentation here in the live lounge. Jörg Hartleb, the once again, Chief Operating Officer at Ecom. Your
Thank
stage.
you, Oliver. So first of all, hello to everyone, to the auditors across the globe. I'm Jörg Hartleb. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Ecom Instruments, and many of you might fathom Chief Operating Officer. Why is he talking about digital transformation? Well, one of the hats I'm wearing is product management. I'm heading quite a big product management and software development team in Nassamstadt, taking care about especially the Android services. And I'm here basically as the voice of my team, a faint voice of my team, because my team consists of highly specialized people around the world. But let's dive into the topic. Let's start with a brief overview about what enterprise mobility means for us, and especially what does this mean in the context of digital transformation. The tiny animation you're going to see right now will give you a slight overview about what it is, what enterprise mobility is about. So before we are diving into the mobility world, let's talk about industrial Internet of Things first, IIoT. And let's start with a tiny experiment. Lean back a little bit and think about IoT. What is IoT for you? What are you thinking about if you think about IoT devices? For me, it's these fancy colored light bulbs which I'm able to operate via my smartphone. But is this everything when we are talking about digital transformation and IIoT? To introduce you into the topic, I'd like to read you a quote from Wikipedia I found just recently. The fourth industrial revolution, or Industry 4.0, is the ongoing transformation of traditional manufacturing and industrial practices combined with the latest smart technology. This primarily focuses on the use of large-scale machine-to-machine communication and Internet of Things. Deployments to provide increased automation, improved communication, self-monitoring, as well as smart machines that can analyze and diagnose issues without the need of human interaction. So, if I think back to what I just said about IoT, I would say Industry 4.0 speaks more to me. But yeah, our marketing department asked me to not use the German expression Industry 4.0, or by the way, we Germans can abbreviations too, I40, and to use the more common term IIoT instead. But let's dive into the topic and see what this means for us in our mobility world. If you think about IIoT, it's probably about accessing field devices. And is it really everything? Let's have a look at the animation. So this is how we typically would think about an IIoT world. You've got mobile devices connected via certain subsystems to manufacturing execution systems, whatsoever is in between, and we talk to field devices or get analytics data from it. And this brings me to a couple of statements I want to share with you. In my understanding, and in contradiction to what we have learned before, mobile devices will not communicate with safety-critical devices directly. Imagine our mobile devices would connect to a safety-critical field device. This would mean you would have thousands, probably 100,000 of entry doors for security issues. That's why I claim Mobile devices will hardly talk directly to field devices, especially if they are safety critical. Moreover, safety critical devices like in our business, explosion protection, they will not purely rely on wireless communication, since wireless communication is again prone to attacks. We know from our customers that they fear jamming attacks, and imagine you won't get the right sensor readings, the whole plant will get into a critical status, and you would risk a severe accident or even an explosion. Third statement, we live in a world of platformication, meaning mobile devices and also field devices will connect to their systems via platforms. The one who is operating the platform rules the world. And please hold that thought. We will come to back later. But is this the only use case we have seen right now? A mobile device being a mobile HMI? In fact, it is not. There is much, much more to it. We are talking about paperless workflows. We are talking about digital procedures. We are talking about augmented reality, which is about remote expert applications. And of course, we are also talking about voice and video communication. Probably not in the classic way as you are using your smartphones and your tablet computers. Nowadays, we will use these devices differently. And we will see what it is about and how the mobility expands into our pretty classic field of business and in industry. Let's have a look at the use cases. Use cases, and I tried to structure those by the user perspective. These are the ones you see in the yellowish, orangish octagons, and the cloud-based services. These are the greenish ones, and of course the administrator perspective. My team will for sure tell me, hey, Jörg, you're missing this, you're missing that, there is an interconnection between this and that, but I think you will get the point. I just want to show you how complex our world is. We are talking about voice communication, video communication, and if we think about this one, PTT, push to talk, or MCPTT, mission critical push to talk, which is about quality of service, latency, and all these kind of things. We will look into this as well. Then it's about location-based services. You might want to know where your assets are, where your people are. You want to know, is there an accident? Are my people out in the field? Are they well? So, and this reflects then in the cloud infrastructure and in the infrastructure you are operating, which are operated by your service providers or even by the carrier. And you, dear administrators, you are in the position to administrate and to orchestrate this whole situation. These use cases we have seen just now, they reflect, of course, in technology. And again, if we look at the technology landscape, and again, I try to structure those, might not be 100% correct, but again, you will get the point. It's about wireless technology, 3G, 4G, and in future 5G, of course, and all of the typical suspects, which are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, newer technologies like ultra-wideband. It's about accessories, peripherals workers in the fields are going to wear to support all of these different use cases I was just talking about. And again, this has got a counterpart in the infrastructure. We are talking about security in infrastructure. I mean, this is for sure, this is key for you. You will hear each and every week, each and every second week, you will hear about new 0 days being detected by the experts. They need to be fixed, and not only in the mobility world, in our devices, it's also about the infrastructure, which is, of course, vulnerable against attacks. You're dealing with software as a service, applications running on your system. You collect lots of data. This data needs to be aggregated, analyzed. You want to present these data to your users. So it's a whole complex field where we see our niche and where we want to help you to deal with this, to give you some tools to help you to navigate through this complexity. What I mean with complexity, let's have a look at a typical push-to-talk landscape. The push-to-talk landscape you're seeing right now, it's basically a client device. It's not only hardware. Of course, on this hardware runs a PTT client, which is provided by a PTT provider. These devices might hook into a cellular network, an LTE network, might be a public network, might be even a private network you operate on plant. Can be also a Wi-Fi network you have on site. And all of this data is being transmitted via the internet typically, or any voice over IP service to the peer devices. And it's not just like dialing a number on your phone. You just push, like so. You push and you have a direct connection to your peer working somewhere else in the plant. And of course, you've got an infrastructure which connects all this, which forms the bridge to the old analog world or even to the Tetra world. So what does this mean for you? You're not dealing with us as a device manufacturer. You're also dealing with a carrier, probably with a network provider, which is providing you with a cellular network. Might be again might be again a public network, or might be a private network. But nevertheless, the infrastructure has to be there and has to be administrated. And of course, it's on you. You have to administrate the groups, the people who will be connected to each other. You have to take care about the security and so on and so on. So there are multiple players involved if you're looking at projects nowadays. So the world is changing. The world is changing from just simple applications, devices, which work right out of the box, to complex systems you have to manage. Just let's come back to the use cases for a tiny moment. All of what you have seen right now, and each and every use case which I'm showing here requires an infrastructure. And to summarize what this means for us as mobile manufacturer, this is what I'm going to show you in the next slide. So the animation shows you a little bit how we structure this whole complex field and how we approach the development of our devices. For us, one of the key elements is interoperability. So our devices must work in these complex systems. They have to be compatible. The systems have to work seamlessly together. Secondly, we have conformity. Conformity means basically you can operate your devices legally in each and every network across the globe. Third item, security. This is very obvious. Security is one of the key elements. You want that the devices are being fixed fast, reliably. So this is what it is about. So we take care about the whole certification world. It's about EX, explosion protection certifications, of course, but it's also about networks. It's about radio It's about compatibility to systems. Let's have a look at the conformity, product conformity side of things for a tiny moment, just to show you a little bit the complexity of the world we are in. It's not about your local radio agency. This would be pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but we are talking about different aspects. If we look at national legislations and directives, it's about operational health and safety requirements, which are of course worker safety, but also reflect in like ROHS, SAR values, EX explosion protection requirements, and so forth and so forth. It's about import and export. It's about radio norms, and so on and so on. So there's a lot to it. And then there is the norms side of things. The norms, you can basically structure them in harmonized norms given by the national legislation, and of course standards which are given by industry interest groups and associations like Wi-Fi Alliance, Bluetooth SIG, PTCRB, GCF, USB, and this list can go on more or less for the next half an hour or so. And of course, there are also requirements from our customers. And customers means they want that the devices work in the local carrier networks. And believe me, our world is not a harmonized one. Even if we are talking about globalization in terms of mobility, it's not. Everybody is using a different set of frequency. Operators are using tiny, tiny differences, and we all have to look into this to make our devices work in the respective networks. So, and this has got, of course, consequences for the product design. For us, this means, okay, if we look from the user perspective, our devices have to be designed in a way that they are easy to operate. They have to be ergonomically. The user interface has to be fit for the purpose, or at least has to be the possibility that it can be tailored to the respective use case. They have to be lightweight as much as possible in our explosion protection world, of course. And of course, they have to be designed for global deployment and usage. I just touched briefly on the topic complexity, and this is what I want to talk about in the next few slides, because reducing complexity means making life easier for all of us, for the field service as well as for the administrators. So how are we doing this, or how do you want to do this? As administrators, you have to take care about streamlined graphical user interfaces. Your users out there, they don't want to fumble around with lots of icons and app icons on their displays. They want to access the tools they need to do their job right away and fast. And you as administrators, you want transparency. How are the devices being used? Where are they used? And of course, you don't want to spend lots of time configuring this. So this is the other perspective, how we are looking at our devices and services. So if we are talking about administrating the devices and helping also you as administrators, then it's about device management systems. I'm pretty sure you're all having one. But we will show you how we approach this topic. It's about analytics. You want to know what is the health status of the devices out there. Is everything all right? Are my networks up and running? How does this look like? And of course, you don't want to spend lots of time by staging the devices and handing over the devices to your team outside. And of course, you don't want your team fumbling around trying to stage the devices themselves. This is failure prone, of course. This will cause lots of tickets. You know what I'm talking about. So what are our answers then? We see as a core of what we are doing the mobile worker. And with the video, which comes up next, I'm going to show you a little bit what our vision in this connected world is. So what we see right now is a typical maintenance application and what is possible and what can be realized with our software partners. You will see there is an alert being transmitted to the user. And it's being transmitted onto one device he's wearing on his wrist. So one of the next topics we see is wearable computers. So the alert comes up, he gets the message where the problem is, he confirms the alert, and then being directed to the area where he needs to fix it. When he arrives at the area, he thinks, oh, this might be a little bit complex. Let's turn on my remote camera. And this connects him to a remote expert who is helping him to fix the problem. By doing so, of course, you can spare time and money. You get the problem fixed right away without any problems, without checking back, calling back. Your expert can just follow what you're doing and can assist you right away. Just one aspect how we see the mobile worker being woven into this world. Coming back, I think the video will go on a little bit. You can watch this later on, but let's have a look how this overall situation reflects in our solutions. Let's take the use case again, the push-to-talk network. So let's see how we design our devices or what is important for mobile devices that are being connected in such a network. These devices, of course, I've talked about this already, have to be right for the use case. And it's a lot of software compatibility. And that's why we decided to go for a pretty pure AOSP in Android for the Android open source project. We hardly touched the system. Of course, we added some tiny gimmicks, which helps you in the field, but we decided to leave the device as clean as possible to ensure maximum compatibility. Nevertheless, we are ready to help you with software implementation. So if you decided to go for a certain push-to-talk network and for a certain, or if you have making your choice for the push-to-talk provider, we can help you with the software integration. We can help you that our devices understand the intents, so like push-to-talk button is being pushed, that this is being understood by our devices. We can do the software integration for you. We help you that our devices will work seamlessly in the networks. But it's not only about the core devices themselves. It's also about accessories. Accessories are an extremely important part when you're out in the field. All of you might work in really noisy environments. You might not want to fumble around with a phone. You might want to have direct access and an extremely loud speaker being close to your ear. So that's why we developed the remote speaker mic. You might want to have attenuation, noise attenuation headsets, a Mickey Mouse, or even cameras, mobile cameras to help you with remote assistance. So we are not only looking at the core devices themselves, we build a whole infrastructure, a whole ecosystem around our systems that you can always pick something which is ready and fit for the purpose you want to use the devices in. Let's come back to these 3 items you have seen before. This was about, you remember, conformity. It's about security and operability. And let's start with conformity first this time, because conformity for us at Ecom, that's a given. This must be there. But just to depict a little bit what it is about, it's about a global certification strategy. You are working in globally operating companies, and that's why it is, of course, absolutely logical that you're asking us as device manufacturer, hey, you have to provide me a device which not only works globally, but which I can operate legally in each and every network where I'm present as well. So that's a given. And that's why we just skip over it. But let's come to the second item. It's security, one of the core elements. We have just talked about AOSP, and we are extending this a little further. We decided to certify for Android Enterprise Recommended. Android Enterprise Recommended will assure you that our devices will seamlessly talk to your MDM systems. So you can be sure that everything is there. Every standard API given by the Android system is ready available for you. And on top of this, I think we will touch this a little later, but on top of this, the Ecom extensions can be accessed as well. We provide you with a specific econfig, OEM config file, which helps you to also access our Ecom specific features. Then we did go even one step ahead. We decided to certify for Android Enterprise Recommended. This means just that you are guaranteed with 90 days security updates. That's one. And B, you will get at least one major OS upgrade during lifetime. And I can assure you, we at Ecom, we already have plans to go beyond that, to give you maximum security that our devices will work throughout their lifespan. Some of you have probably seen on our websites, or maybe you are using these devices already, our tablet computers. They are based on, I'm not telling a secret, they are based on a Samsung device. Everybody sees this as soon as the device comes up, but we have not just chosen a simple one. We have chosen a specific enterprise dedicated device, which also enables you to use the Samsung Knox features, which again gives you a little bit more than what is standard, which is provided to you by the standard of Android Enterprise. But probably we will talk about this a little later as well, because that's a whole topic on its own. We could make a single presentation out of these kind of things. So let's come to enterprise mobility and IoT. Let's come back to this. For us, it's about interoperability and security. These are the remaining two topics. We want to look at the admin's problem. So this is asset management, security, and of course the worker's problem. I want to access the job in a fast way. So, and that's why we developed our digital products and services. You remember, I was talking about the one who is who is running the platform rules the world, but we are approaching this differently. We are not locking you in. You can use the whole system, but the system can also just assist you in the job you're doing. Let's have a quick look at the video.
Digitalization is one of the major driving forces for accelerating industrial processes. Smartphones, tablets, and digital workflows have become essential to the modern workplace. Reaching hazardous areas has always been a challenge because the risks are often too high. But with smartphones, tablets, and other devices from e-com, companies can digitalize processes in any environment. Previously, devices had to be configured separately and required individual software solutions. Role-based user rights were assigned to each employee at every site worldwide, at around 30 minutes per device. Configuration time kept IT managers busy for days on end, especially if there weren't IT experts at each site. Now, digital products and services by e-com takes care of device configuration for you. This new solution sets up your mobile devices automatically, starting with the customized staging phase. e-com quickly pre-configures all of your devices and delivers them directly to the necessary employees, saving time, offering consistent quality, and ensuring uniformity. Once the setup and delivery are complete, your company can manage the connected devices through one centralized platform, so devices all over the world can be updated simultaneously. Finally, analytics provide crucial status information about parameters, like the condition of batteries and processors, enabling you to avoid problems and correct errors. That's the power of digital products and services by e-com. Convenient configuration and streamlined management for every device your company needs, when and where you need them.
So, let's come back to the topic, and you might ask yourself, another MDM system? Why do I need this? I have one. So we think differently. We are using the MDM system as a core system for everything we are going to provide to you to make your life easier. And just to give you a tiny use case when it comes to the MDM system. You might have a factory revision. You might have thousands of contractors in the field, and you think, hey, do I want to have the devices they are using? Do I want to have them in my own MDM system? Probably you don't. And this is where you can just use our ready-to-use MDM system. You just sign up for the system, load the devices up. Our team is helping you with the job. They are helping you to create the profiles, and you're ready to go. And you don't have to mess around with new devices inside of your MDM system. It's not overloaded by additional data. You have everything condensed and in a clear perspective. So that's one use case. But nevertheless, we use our MDM system for staging as well. So you have your MDM system, you buy devices, hopefully from us, and we can help you to enroll the system in your MDM system. So we make the work for you. So for your field service out there, it's just taking the devices out of the box, switching them on, just do a few clicks, and you're ready to go. Then let's come back for a moment, and now I'm trying to bring everything together a little bit to reducing complexity. I want to show you how you can make use of work profiles to exactly reach one of the goals, providing a clean user interface to your teams out in the field. It looks a little bit complex, but in fact it is not. So one of the possibilities you have is bring your own device. Bring your own device, it's just, okay, someone brings his private mobile device. You're putting a container onto the device, you confine the enterprise data, and you leave the rest of the device untouched. Of course, it's not necessary that he brings his private device. This would work with other devices as well. Up to you. This is one possibility. But nevertheless, what do you do with all these different applications? How do you present them to them? So I'm just skipping over this one. I just briefly touch it. It's, of course, you can use the profile company-owned personal use. There, the user can switch between the business profile and his private profile. It's a little bit more effort on your end to administrate this. And of course, you can also use company-owned business only, which also require a little bit of settings on your end, but your device is restricted to business use only, basically. Now let's have a look at a lean and how you can provide to your users a lean and clean user interface that your user is just able to access what he really needs. Here come and there are coming two different new profiles into play. It's about company-owned single use and the kiosk mode. We will have a look at the kiosk mode. Basically, the two things do basically a little bit of the same, but the kiosk mode is having some advantages because under the hood, the device remains basically untouched and you can unlock it also remotely without having the device connected to an MDM system. Our team will for sure help you with the choice what is the right way to setting up your devices. Let's have a look how these things come together. Believe it or not, some of our customers, they ask us for a camera and they think, hey, your smartphone is having a great camera. Why not just using the smartphone as just a camera? So how can we do this? So we make just use of the kiosk mode. We just present an interface to the user, which just allows him to access the camera and nothing else. Let's have a look how this goes. The video explains you a little bit how this kiosk mode is being set up. Most of the work which is being done here is basically logging into the local VLAN. And many of the tips on the screen you see, it's just about preventing that the screen is getting dark. But you will see the whole setup process will more or less go automatically. The whole process, it's a little bit an accelerated video, I have to admit. The overall process takes about 2 minutes. And now you see, there we go. And this makes out of a camera, out of a tablet, or just a mobile phone. So this is how things come together. So what does this mean, in fact? You remember, I was talking about mobile devices are no IoT devices. So, and this is probably true still, even if we have seen that our devices are somewhat within this field of mobility. I think the system makes the IoT device, the software makes the IoT device. So mobile devices are just more than just a commodity. We understand that mobility must support all of the business models, all of your business models, and that's why we develop our products and systems that they interact seamlessly to provide you with the best experience, no matter for you as administrators or for you as end users. I hope that I was able to give you a tiny overview about our world of mobility. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I thank you all for participating in our digital summit, and see you in the networking lounge. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Jörg. Now, just imagine a round of applause in here. Maybe because of COVID, we have to switch places. So I come back into the screen. Now I'm in. So I guess there are lots of questions. And I have a good news and the bad news. Good news is they will be answered at the latest in the networking lounge you just mentioned. We start that in about 20 minutes at 10 a.m. German time. Bad news is we don't have much time now to answer questions. But there is one, since it's always about costs and so on, and the question for you is how mobility can be used to reduce costs and increase efficiency.
Yeah, let me probably come back to what I have just briefly touched in my presentation. It's about digital procedures, remote assistance. So if you set up a system like this, you can save lots of time when your people are working out in the field, because you can connect with them directly. You have basically, you can watch what is being done. You can help them. You can increase the efficiency of your team out there. You can enhance range time, and enhancing range time means reduce cost, of course. And if you look at the administrator side, this is about staging, taking away as much as work possible from the people who have to deal with these kind of things.
Okay, so as I said, there might be many more questions and they will be answered in our networking launch. Thanks again, Jörg. You can have a sip of water, take a deep breath, and we'll see in about. Yeah, now it's 17 minutes, so join our networking launch. You have to change the room, so just click to conference and we'll be back at 10 a.m. German time. See you.